Good morning. Welcome everybody to the GPA meeting. I'd like to special welcome to Ron Donchez, being newly appointed, and also Ann Baum. We're expecting Ann here in a few minutes. So I'll start off with roll call. Lori Vargo Hefner.
Here.
Charles Dertinger.
Here.
Ron Donchez.
Here.
Mark Chavone.
Here.
Frank Pittibone.
Here.
And Paul Anthony's here. All right, thank you. We have John, solicitor, John Freund, Tina's not here today, right? We have Sarah, Mark, David. Okay. All right, before we continue on, we need to call an executive session. It is now 8:16. We're going to discuss potential litigation regarding legal bills. Okay. Time now is 8:44. We're returning from an executive session that we discussed litigation regarding legal bills. All right, next item is to approve the minutes of the September 13th meeting. Frank made a motion. Second. Thank you, Lori. Yes, please turn your mics on. Any questions on that? All right, seeing no questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. All right, item 4.0, Treasurer's Report for August and September.
You have in your packet, you have the balance sheet and the P&L, plus, as I've been doing, you have an account of all the accounts that are listed and all the activity. If you have any questions on any of the activity, just feel free to ask. At the end of September, the total balances in the accounts were $2,369,572.87.
Make a motion to accept the report.
Thank you, Frank. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ron. Okay.
And just
Oh,
one
sure.
item that I know had been brought up at the last meeting. If you look at the invoices paid to date, they will match the total expenses year to date. I know there was a question about that the last time, so.
All right, any questions on that motion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So invoices for payment.
You have in your packet the invoices to be paid. First group is for King Spry for a total of $4,564.50 for the work they've done since they've been solicitor for the GPA. Also, you have the bills for Riley and Company for the accounting services they do for the GPA, and the last one is the Keystone Bonding, which is $750, which has been the same amount for the last 4 years. And that's basically for employee theft relative to bond.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept invoices as presented.
Thank you,
Second.
Frank. Lori, thank you for seconding. Any questions on the motion and the report? Invoices. All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dave. Also then, do you want to just review the invoices paid through September?
Well, again, you have those in your packet, and that's basically a running total that we've been doing the last couple of months of all the invoices been paid up to year to date, up
Okay.
through the end of September. And again, as I had said before, because I know there was a question before, that if you look at the P&L, it does match up relative to total expenses through the dates,
Okay.
which I think is like 5.9 million,
All right,
which includes P3, just so you're aware.
sure.
So that's not just all GPA expense.
Make a motion to approve.
I don't know, do we don't need a motion.
No.
Sorry. That's informational only. Thank you, though, Frank. All right, 5.0, public comment. I don't believe there was anybody signed in, so there will be no public comment today. Old business, bridge update. Good morning, Greg.
How's it going?
You're smiling, that's got to be good.
Yeah, it's good. So everybody should have gotten an update. I gave a status update and a list of bridges, so you'll have them based on what we talked at the last GPA meeting. Does anybody need an extra copy? I brought some with me, just in case. So let's go through a few things on the status update that I'll highlight. As far as right-of-way for the 2019 bridges, the county has received evaluations from the Krieger team, and Mike Amelie and Charles have been going through those evaluations. And Andrew Elliott from the county will be assisting in negotiations with the property owners. So I think we got the process streamlined from what we learned last year. So we should be in pretty good shape moving forward. As far as utilities, I noted at the last GPA meeting we had some complications with utilities. As of right now, at least for the 2018 bridges, they've all been temporarily relocated, and starting actually they've been working on it the past few weeks. They'll be relocating the poles back for the 2018 bridges, so we should be in good shape there. For 2019, the process has started. I asked all the utilities to send any costs they would have, so we can start looking at it now. The goal is by March of next year to get the utilities cleared. So hopefully we'll have enough time to take care of that. If I see the process is not going all too well, I'll provide an update next month to let you know.
Greg, not to interrupt, but so everyone else knows, with the issues that we had with the utilities, as well as some other ancillary issues, how many bridges were we supposed to have completed this year?
Well, we completed 6 this year.
And we were supposed to?
There was supposed to be 3 more that they were going to do. Yeah, so I mean the goal for Krieger was to have 9 completed. But between utilities and storm events, that held them back. So they're pushing 3 till next year. But they still met their milestone payments. So their next milestone payment is not until May of 2019. So that's when we'll determine then, make sure they have enough bridges. But they're as far as the milestone payment schedules, they're not considered behind. They met everything they had to do this year, but they were hoping to get a few more completed.
But the goal was 9.
The original goal was 9 for this year, correct. So I'll go through a little bit of the upcoming schedule. 6 bridges, as I just know, will be completed in 2018. They're going to try for another one in the winter, possibly starting soon for Bridge 143, and that's a masonry rehab. So that's something that can be accomplished as long as they meet special requirements for keeping the bridge warm if it's below a certain temperature because they're doing some masonry work. So they're going to try for number 7 as well this year too. Bridges 191 and 66 are currently in construction and should be complete by end of November. We're at the point now they're just about getting ready to start paving next week. So they should be ready to go. We have some we've noted punch list items on the other bridges, which they'll be working on as soon as they're done these 2. So we hope to close all the 2018 bridges out this year. So we don't have to have that go through next year. Once the bridges get closed out, that's when the 10-year maintenance period begins. So I have on here at the bottom of the list the 2019 bridges. There's 11 of them that they're proposing right now. Bridges 54, 63, 76, 119, 138, 143, 184, 188, 207, and 224. So hopefully the list that I put together, hopefully that helps you out so you know where all the bridges are located. 2 other things that I'll note. Due to some of the flooding that has occurred in the past few weeks, DEP came out and the Conservation District came out to the site because there's some muddy water that was happening from some of the storm events. So Krieger has there was an action plan put together, and Krieger is addressing those comments so it doesn't happen in the future. And then lastly, they asked for extensions for the Fish and Boat Commission because we're in the restriction period right now for trout, and they've been working with them to because there's some sandbags that need to come out of the stream for temporary coffer dams, basically get the water through under the bridge during construction. So they're working with them right now to get that resolved. So they've been very proactive with the agencies, which is very good, and we've been monitoring to make sure they've been on target with them. So any questions?
Well, I guess my question is, so the goal next year is 11 bridges
Correct.
plus the 3 that weren't completed this year?
No, that includes the ones from this year too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're in the 11. That 11 includes the 3 that weren't completed this year.
Correct.
Director, question. You and I talked about those unfiled easements. Yeah. Let's say afterwards.
About the language and easements?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still working through that with my career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I proposed, there was some language there's some question about changing exhibit names, exhibit A and B, just based on how the right-of-way plans were. So we proposed something to my career, the assistant solicitor, about language to put in there for next year, for the 2019 bridges, because we're still working on that right now.
Right. Does that look like you're gonna be able to file those without having to go back and get all new signatures?
That's what we're hoping for, so.
Okay, good.
All right, anything else for Greg?
Discussion on the credit letter?
Oh, yeah, thanks. So at the last meeting, last GPA meeting, there was talk about the bridges that are coming out of the contract, and Krieger was going to put a letter together with their credits on how much they would get back for those bridges that are coming out of the contract. We're still working through the process with them. They gave some information. I've asked for more clarification. I want to make it as easy for all of you to understand what's going on this, so they're going to clarify more, and Charles, Mike, and I will take a look at it before we send it to all of you. I don't want there to be any questions on this. I want it to be pretty clear. And we've already gone through PennDOT projects locally to know what the price per bridge it should be in the realm of, so we'll do all the vetting before you guys see it.
Greg, I'm sorry if I missed it, but the two bridges in Washington Township, Bridge 191, is that scheduled to be open by the end of November?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and that's on Factoryville Road. And what about the one on Ackermanville Road, 189?
That one's open right now. And
Oh, that's open.
They just have some punch list items to do on that.
Okay. All right, thank
There
you.
was an exceedingly huge problem with the utility getting the poles relocated for bridges 191 and 189. The intent was to do the bridges together since it's on the same stream.
That's
and
on the same,
Yeah.
it's in the same spot down there, right?
It really-
There's
it
one
really
that's
is. It would've-
open and the other one's,
It really would have been great to get the two of them there, but the utility held up on the one bridge for months. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same detour and everything. It worked out really well if they could have done both at the same time, but it just didn't work out that way.
Thanks.
Yep.
Actually, I don't see it in here. Where are we at with the Rockefeller? With that situation.
Charles, I don't know if you have any updates on
I'm sorry.
Bridge 121.
that, we have reached agreements all across the board. The Rockefeller Group is putting the money forward through Allen Township to pay for their portion of that at a cost not to exceed $1 million. So Krieger and GPI had put together their expectations for the cost of these changes, and that will likely be in the 2021 year.
2021.
It will require significantly more. As a simple direct replacement, there's one level of engineering, and when you start to expand into the right-of-ways and so on, and there are concerns of historic structures in and around that area. So once all of those elements are addressed, they'll be able to move forward with the engineering
Okay.
and building essentially it's building a one-off bridge rather than one of the component bridges as the plan had originally considered.
Yeah, basically additional lanes is what they're looking to do.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep, sure.
Any other questions for Greg? Okay, thank you, Greg.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
6.2, GPA accounting and financial reporting.
In your packet was a memo that we put together with the Department of Fiscal Affairs. If you recall, at our last meeting, we voted to approve the transfer of our accounting and fiscal and financial reporting to the county system. So that takes us out of the way we've been doing it has been through QuickBooks, and Dave Hughes was in charge of making those entries. In moving into the P3 project, the accounting has gotten much more sophisticated, and it's well beyond the capabilities within the Department of Community and Economic Development. But lucky for us, we're a big county, and we have the Department of Fiscal Affairs, who does this all the time. So in order to do that, there are a few things to transition that over, that we need to make some changes in our processes and procedures in how we cut checks, deposit money, things of that nature. So within that memo, we've made some recommendations to the GPA that they name the director of the Department of Community and Economic Development, who happens to be Tina Smith, as the executive director. And one of the big changes, right now we write checks out by hand, and it requires a signature of an authorized staff person, which would be myself or Tina, and any one of the board members. In transferring it over to the county system, we sign our checks electronically. So we need to put the name of somebody in there electronically on the checks, and we felt it best that it be an executive director who, it's really a administrative kind of function. Then we're going to modify our check writing approval process. With the county, when we do checks, we submit a check request to Fiscal Affairs, and then they cut a check for us. So what we'll do, we never had a process like that for the GPA. So with the GPA, we would do a similar process where we bring a check request to the board meeting, and when the bills are approved, there would be a check request in there that must be signed by 2 board members in order to be processed.
Okay.
And that's how the checks would then get cut. And so in doing that, we would also modify our process that the checks no longer require 2 signatures from the board. And then the last thing, right now, every member of the GPA is a signatory on our bank accounts. Especially this year, it's been really, really hard to keep those signature cards current and change those. So what we are proposing going forward is that there are 3 signatories on the accounts, and you need 2 signatures to be able to change any of that, and it would be the executive director, the treasurer, and the chairperson would be the signatories on any bank accounts. Our next recommendation, there are several bank accounts that we currently have open that we're recommending be closed because we don't use them. They're just kind of sitting there. And that would be the IFIP account, the P3 insurance account, and a professional development account. And if there may be small balances within those accounts, those would just be moved to the money market account. And then our final recommendation, we currently have an agreement with Riley and Company to provide non-audit support services to us. We're recommending that contract be extended for about 6 months to assist with this transition to the Department of Fiscal Affairs. And then once that occurs, once it's there and they have it, they have accountants and things to take care of that. But it's just to help with our transition over into that, that we're asking for that. So that's basically the memo. I have Mary Alice Einfalt from the Department of Fiscal Affairs here, who we've been working closely with if there are any questions on that, I'm happy to answer those or try to.
Go ahead. Just a simple reminder. So then, once it transitions back to the system, the county system, then the regular process of auditing that you do every year annually, it would go under that process for review, or no?
The general purpose authority is required to do an audit. They will be able to select whoever they want to perform their external audit. So I would imagine, I don't know, we were seeking proposals from Riley and Company, who had been doing it, and the county's external auditors, to give you two price proposals for audits that would start in 2019 for the 2018 year.
Mm-hmm.
But GPA would select their auditor.
I had a question. So will the county be charging us back for this service?
So this would be covered. There's an existing administrative services agreement that you have with the county that would be covered on that, and we're not proposing any changes to that.
Okay, great. And then this is maybe more a legal question, John. In the resolution, we specify Tina's name. Does that mean that if Tina were to change or that role would change, we'd have to re-resolve it? And does it make sense to just have it be whoever the director of DCED is
Perhaps a-
sitting in that role as
perhaps
opposed to a
perhaps
specific name?
An ex officio designation would make more sense
Okay.
than identify the role position.
Okay.
And certainly, you know, that's
Just so we don't have to change it. if something were to change.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense.
That's up for action to ask on that today.
Yes.
You could simply make a simple motion to amend it.
Thank you.
So, Mark, just for myself, on 5, the bank account's being closed. What is the IFIP?
That's a 10-year grant from the state to St. Luke's. They get $500,000 a year. They had originally been deposited into this IFIP account. They now send us a check. So there's really no sense to keep an account open for a whole year to get a $500,000 check that we sit and flip as soon as we get it. So that makes no sense to do
Okay.
that.
All right, so that's for...
But it's a 10-year. I think this was the 7th year, so we have 3 years remaining for that.
And closing that won't impact anything that St. Luke's,
No,
because you're saying we
not at
just
all.
receive a check from, okay. The P3 insurance account, why was there a separate account, and
It was,
what was that
it was
for?
originally recommended to have a separate account for the insurance transactions in case there were any claims against the GPA relative to the P3 account. That has not occurred. We run everything through one P3 account so that we have one account that services everything relative to the bridge project, including insurance, Krieger, Benish, anything, PP&L, everything. So we see everything under one account.
It makes sense to me on that one,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not the banker. Ron, got to look at you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense, okay. Professional development account. I understand what that was, but what was that for, actually?
It's been sitting there. I've been with the county like 4 years. It's never been used. I don't know what the original purpose was. I think it may have been for some type of education relative to board members, but it's been sitting there. It's been dormant. I think it earns maybe 47 cents a month in interest. So
Yeah, but you look to the
That's not even
future,
a cup of
47
coffee
cents a
for
month.
one of us.
We could be rolling some dough.
well,
right.
once we get the RFP done, maybe we'll get it up to 50 cents a
Yeah,
month.
see, there's the
All
thing.
right. All right, so Solicitor John, have you reviewed all of this, and do you have an opinion on this?
Yes, I have, Mr. Anthony, and when Mark sent this over for me to take a look at, I looked at it in conjunction with the existing administrative services agreement that the authority entered into back in 2016, and my first impression was, whoa, you know, are we becoming an alter ego for the county? In other words, are we yielding our essential functions And taking a close look at it, I'm satisfied, Mark mentioned this, that we retain our autonomy to pick our auditor, to pick our depositories, and I'm satisfied that we are not yielding or ceding any of our essential functions. And so, as far as I'm concerned, that's a green light.
Thank you, John.
All right, then I would make that motion.
Now, do we have to amend it, the language, as you suggested, or?
I'd suggest that.
As
So
some,
you could make the motion with the amendment right now?
yeah, we can, I would make the motion with the executive director in place of the name of the executive director of DCED, taking Tina's name out.
Second?
So I'm looking at the resolution, and under the 5th whereas, number 1, is that what needs to be modified?
It's on page 2.
Number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
It just hereby names the director of NCEDC, executive director. That's all.
And strike her name.
We will make that change.
I will second that.
All right.
Charles was a motion.
So Charles made the motion and Frank seconded that. Any other questions or discussions on the motion?
Just to be clear, as part of this motion, you are also approving the
Riley and Company.
Riley and Company
Non-audit
non-audit services
Yes.
agreement
To help with transition.
during the transition,
Yes.
and that looks like it's about $11,400.
And that's primarily to help in the transition of the.
Correct. Correct.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. All right, the RFP updates for the GPA solicitor. So,
Motion?
well, hang on.
The solicitor proposal was put out last month, and we're expecting responses the middle of this month. And one of the things that we had done in the past was advertise in the Northampton County and Lehigh County Bar Association. We didn't do that this time, and I just wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable with that. As of the October 18th, there had been 37 entities that had viewed the RFP. So I think there was a concern that people wouldn't know where to go to get the RFP, but I think people are seeing that. I just wanted to make sure, since we're breaking a little bit with past practice, that everybody was comfortable with that.
And there's also a cost associated with that.
Correct.
Right. And,
An additional cost.
well, we didn't approve that last time, so it's.
Right.
I don't think it's that expensive.
No, it was
Like $170, 80 for one and 90 for the other.
Yeah, total, so.
But if we
But it's
did,
a
if we
cost.
did advertise now, I would want to push back the due date for it, because till we could run the advertising, it'd probably, could we get it in this week? So it would run next week, and you'd want to give people enough time to respond. And I think the proposals are due next Friday or the Friday after.
This was advertised through the procurement office?
Yes.
Which uses the standard.
Yeah, so
So-
people have seen it. Like, it's been out there.
Right.
I would say at this point it's overkill. But I didn't want to make that decision for you guys.
Yeah, I would imagine the procurement system works remarkably well, so I don't know that
Okay.
anyone else has any opinions.
Mr. Chairman, my quick motion was to get the discussion started, but we started it first, so.
Right.
But my thought is, first of all, I know it's not a huge amount of money, but I'd rather not pay that. Regardless, I don't want to pay any more money. What I'd like to see happen is, if possible, we send out invites to firms that we know could handle this type of work, primarily in Northampton, only in Northampton County. If we don't get anything there, and we have to go outside, then we can do that. But to pay to advertise, and we're getting firms from Lehigh County or wherever else, I'd like to focus on Northampton County first, and I'd also like to make sure that we get firms that can actually handle this work or have experience in this work, as opposed to just any firm, 37 looking at it. If we had 37 apply and maybe only 4 of that 37 could even, or have experience in this type of work. So I'd like to send out invites, if we could, to firms that we know could handle it throughout Northampton County first. If that doesn't work, then we can open it up to Lehigh County or whatever else. But I think we can do that without paying the $170, $180 cost, and see what we net on that.
So I do appreciate just looking at Northampton County. However, John, is that legal for us just to solicit Northampton County firms?
Let's do whatever you want, really.
Really?
Try to, I don't think that violates any procurement. Whoever you follow the procurement.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that is correct, that, you need to be looking for a firm, of course, this is kind of self-serving because we'll be applying as well, that has some background in the finance area, and if you put an ad there, you're going to get a lot of firms that really don't have any background. I suspect that of the 37 that have already looked at it, but those are probably some of the firms that are going to apply.
Yeah, in many other discussions that have gone on in procurement and in changing the administrative code, I think it's been best said that if you're, for firms that are looking to endeavor into this work, they are checking the websites that exist. If you're trying to hide it and make it look like you're doing something, you put it in the papers, and nobody really sees it. It's just there. So the folks who are doing this through the electronic means are getting an opportunity to see what's all out there, not being redirected to that website to see what the RFP really is.
Does our charter require us to advertise other than through normal procurement?
Follow the procurement,
Yeah.
the county procurement code.
All right, so it doesn't seem that it's necessary then to move forward with this. If we're saying went through procurement, 37 people kind of looked at it, firms looked at it. We don't know if they'll all apply.
Hopefully they will not.
I have a question.
Sure.
So then if that's the case, do you keep the original end date, or do you?
My recommendation at this point is, it's enough, people are seeing it. We're going to get, I think, a sufficient number. We'll get responses, and I would leave it alone at this
If
point.
no action is taken, we can keep the original end date.
Okay.
And one of the things going forward that we'll need to understand as we get these proposals, so the procurement department will collect them. What I would like to get a sense from the board is, how do you want to review them? My suggestion would be that you name a small committee to look at them and vet them and maybe develop a short list. And then I don't know if you would want them to come to a meeting to make a presentation, or how you would want to do that, but that would be my recommendation. And if you can let me know that that's acceptable and who wants to be on that committee, we can coordinate with you to set up times to review these proposals.
Sure. I'm okay setting up a small committee, but I don't want to exclude anybody from the board.
And
It's up to the board. If the board wants to get together and review them all,
sure,
or just a small committee, or, I mean,
But if the full board does it, we'd have to advertise, right?
Yeah, you're right.
If it's an informational session,
I would defer.
The selection of any kind of personnel like this, in the sense of if you're eliminating candidates, that's not considered official action. So you could meet to eliminate candidates. What you can't do is meet and decide who you want to pick.
Okay.
So you can eliminate down to, 2 or 3 or even 1 if you want to, without, with executive session privilege.
Okay.
All right, I would say it'd be a good idea for all the new members of the board to be involved in that, but apparently we're all new members. Except for Mark. So, I'm fine with whoever wants to meet. If we can put that out there, we'll do the invite. Whoever wants to meet, we're okay with that, John, right? All right.
And that wouldn't need to be advertised?
No, not to screen the applications, no.
Okay.
Right. It would just be the purpose to screen the applications.
Right.
So what?
Obviously, you'd have to make your hiring decision in public, but to
Absolutely.
screen them and to eliminate those that you don't have to further consider, not considered to be official action. There's a case law right on point on this.
Okay. So what we'll do once we get the responses, we'll start scheduling. We'll send out an email to schedule a meeting. Whoever wants to participate in that
Absolutely.
is welcome to, and we'll start that process.
All right.
Great.
and again, what date, what time period are we looking at?
The proposals are due the 15th. So it would be till
About a week or so after, till it gets cleared by.
Yeah, we'll want to compile them and
Right.
get it organized for you.
Week after, so.
So it would probably be sometime in early December. I would think like first or second week of December, and we can
I was just looking at when we can get the training room open.
we can meet
You're going
at
to be bringing
Human
the
Services.
procurement office staff. You usually wind up with a piece of the procurement office staff to.
It's not how it's worked in the past. Like
Okay.
they simply collect the information for us,
Mhm.
and then it's our process. So.
They will officially open them at a certain time. They will not review them. Anyone who's submitted a bid can be there, but they will not review the bids, and then they'll turn them over to DCD and the GPA.
If the board, to Frank's point, if the board just wants to consider attorneys from Northampton County first, can we just put that in the RFP?
That's where I was going to
The
go.
Make that a
RFP's
part of the-
been advertised,
Oh,
but
it's
as
already-
part
Make
of
that part of our
your
selection.
review and selection
Okay.
criteria, if you want to prioritize that, that's
during
your
selection?
prerogative.
Yeah.
I mean, as president of the school board, we did that, where when we went out for RFP, we went to Easton first, right? We want Easton School District money to go to Easton businesses or people first. And then, then you slowly
Sure.
creep out if you have to, but I think that makes the best sense for the county.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. That's good direction.
Actually, there's a quick motion on that.
So do we need a motion, or?
No, we pulled it.
No, we're taking no
We
action.
pulled it.
So we're going to table that?
Yeah, that was
All
an
right.
informational discussion.
Yeah, so that was tabled. All right, how about deposit services?
Same thing.
The only issue with deposit services, I think there was a concern that financial institutions would go to the procurement website, as a lot of other companies do. I think based on the results, there's only been one bank that has officially gone through and seen the RP through that process. What I elected to do was go on the FDIC website, and I got all the banks listed, financial institutions in Northampton County, and I turned around and sent them an email letting them know about the RFP. So they all seem very receptive to it. So again, we just have to wait to see when the final date is who respond.
And
But
when's
I
the
wanted
final
to make
date for
sure all the banks heard about it.
Yeah, when's the final date for that one also?
Same day.
It is the same
They both
date.
went out at the same time.
Okay.
Yes.
And we'll use the same process of looking at solicitor as, when Right, you see
Mhm.
proposals, well, you'll send an email out, and,
Mhm.
okay, that'll work.
So we could probably combine those two meetings
Sure.
and deal with both RFPs at one meeting.
Okay, all right, good.
So can I ask a question about that? Is that something that we want to do before our next scheduled GPA meeting, or it doesn't matter?
I think with the Thanksgiving holiday and the next scheduled GPA meeting, it'll probably be after that, that we would actually have a date to get together. And we'll work on starting that scheduling process with you right away. Because we also want to be able to give you enough time to review all of the proposals before the meeting. So my experience with these meetings, it helps, like, we'll get the information out to you that you can review all the proposals before you come to the meeting, and then we can discuss them. So we're not necessarily reviewing them for the first time at the meeting. You get better discussion that way.
Mark, will you be putting together a summary of each of these proposals based on the criteria that we're looking for, so it's a little easier? Or do we have to read
Yes.
through the whole thing?
Well, I'm trying to think we'll put together some sort of
There was
summary.
a previous sheet that was done when solicitor RFP went out before, which I assume will be utilized relative to the deposits. We'll actually break it down relative to checking account, money market account, operating
Right.
account, what the rates are, what the fees are, what additional services are available. So, yeah, we will put together a spreadsheet on it.
That's great, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. 6.4, the meeting date calendar for next year, 2019. Everybody have a chance to review that, because we have to post this. When's this get posted?
We'll put this out in December.
December, okay.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept it as presented.
Thank you, Frank. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions on that? Everybody knows what they're doing next August 6th, so. All right. So seeing no questions, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Hey, any other old business? I have one item on old business that I'm not sure about. The Higher Ed Authority. We discussed that last meeting. You know,
That may be out of our discussion elements.
Isn't the council?
The county council took up by ordinance the eliminations of both.
It's not voted on yet, right?
No,
But
it's
we-
the first reading of the ordinance came out this past weekend. There will be a discussion and possible vote on the abolishment of both the higher ed and the hospital authorities.
When they do that, will they direct where that one account will go? To the hospital authority, there's $285,000 sitting in that. I don't know if it's their responsibility.
Yeah, I don't know how that, I don't know where that part will lie, but I also understand that was such a dormant.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the general purpose authority is concerned, the way it was structured in the past, and I don't remember, was it the hospital or higher ed authority? One of them mirrored, the membership mirrored the general purpose authority's membership. So there were 7 members on it, and those 7 members were the same as the general purpose
Yeah, it's the
authority.
same for both, yeah.
One of the authorities only had 5 members
Right.
on it, so it was a little bit
But it was still
different.
general
But-
GPA members, yeah.
but they were separate entities. Those appointments have not been kind of kept up, so the membership of those other entities, the higher ed and the hospital authority, is somewhat in question. Like,
Well, I think the question is rested if county council does abolish and the
Correct.
executive signs it, the
correct.
question
So
is
there's
moot.
nothing. My point is, there's
Yeah.
nothing that the general purpose authority needs to do. You are a separate and distinct.
Absolutely right. We
Entity.
understand that, but if there's $285,000 in the account, right, we need to know what we're doing with that.
And that's always been a question, if
Yep.
they are
the higher ed authority would need to know what's going to happen with that $285,000.
And the higher
Not
authority is,
it.
There are people on it?
There are, well,
kind of
there are
think it's
people,
us.
but it's not. When you were appointed,
Yes.
you were not appointed to both
That's right.
authorities.
Correct.
So there are people appointed to that authority. They haven't met in 10 years.
So,
No, I understand the
for lack of
abolishment of
interest,
it.
like
You're
what-
right, you're going to dissolve that, but there's still $285,000 in that account.
Correct.
so
Right.
do we refer to you as to how that money gets dispersed, or should I call Mr. Spadoni from council and ask him to look into what happens?
That's effectively Spadoni.
I think ultimately it's a county question.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I'll ask
it's not
Mr.
a-
Spadoni.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what authority we have to work that.
Right.
Right, because higher ed has 0, right?
Yeah.
They're both inactive relative to the state is concerned.
I believe one of the council members best characterized it as a zombie authority, so.
I do remember.
Zombies come back to bite you, so let's not call it that.
All right, Lori, so you'll follow up on that, right?
Yes,
Not
I'll
so
call
far.
him immediately.
Anything that you need.
Sure,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Any other old business? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to new business, the public official insurance renewal.
Yes. In your packets is an insurance policy for the GPA for the liability insurance for you all. This is a renewal. And Dave, is it the same amount as last year?
This is another one of those situations where like 4 years ago, it was put out for bid and the companies turned out to the same, and maybe next year it should be RFP. If the board wants to do that.
Right, so we said this is about the fourth year,
Yes.
and maybe next year put an RFP out
Mhm.
just for insurance. Just be good practice. All right. Any action needed on this, or it's just a renewal?
Do we need to motion to approve?
You need to approve it.
All right.
So motion to approve.
Thank you, Lori. Lori made the motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Mark seconded that. Excuse me. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, for the P3, general liability hazard insurance renewal.
This is P3, and Dave, do you want to?
No, this again is an annual bill. This needs to be approved through the county. This is all relative to P3. I think, Charles, you've received this.
Mhm.
So we actually need, this is basically for the GPA's understanding right now, but we can't do anything until we have the approval from the county to go ahead and pay this bill.
Meaning the administration or the council?
No, administration.
And we will have that for you next meeting.
All right, so we'll take care of that next meeting. Thank you, Charles. All right, 8.0, staff report. Anything, Mark?
I have nothing new to add.
All right, thank you. Next meeting will be Tuesday, December 4th, 8:15, here in the chambers. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I'd like to just make, mention something before we adjourn.
Mhm.
So,
Is your
some
mic
of you
on?
may know, some may,
Mike, on.
no. We'll hear about that from Bernie later. A couple years ago, about 5 years ago, this is real quick, not really related to the county, but this helps me from sending a group text. A couple years ago, I started, about 5 years ago, buying turkeys and giving them out to people in the area that needed some help. It has grown, and it has grown beyond my wallet. We're up to 200 turkeys this year on the 18th. Some people have made some donations, turkeys. If you want to donate a turkey, whatever, let me know. Because it has grown to something that I never anticipated. We are in the process now of creating a foundation, so there are, it's tax exempt for your donations and things, but if anybody would like to make any type of donation at all, let me know, and it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. All right. Seeing no other business, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
So now, will we review here, or will we be going over?